Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is titled 5 Reasons Why Canada is Better than the UK. Alright, we're going to check this together and I'm curious to hear what they've got to say in here. So yeah, buckle up. Let's dive right into the video.
In January of 2022, I made the big leap of moving from London, England to Saskatchewan in Canada.
Okay.
In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I think Canada does better than the UK. So grab a Tim's or any coffee or tea if you're in the UK for that matter, and join me on this journey. So this leads me on to number 1, which is the pace of life in Canada. Canada, or at least in my opinion, has such a more chilled out way of life. Of course, this may be different depending on where you are in Canada and where you are in the country. But in my case, for example, I find I spend most of my summers at the lake just relaxing and chilling out. And for me, this puts such a different perspective on life, that you always have that hustle and bustle when you should be busy, but actually taking that time to really slow down is something which I find I do much more in Canada than what I just ever would have done in the UK. Okay, so that leads me on to
This makes sense, but I'm also gonna say this, like, this basically is going to be different for different people, right? Obviously this is all his own experience and this is his own take. It makes sense. And I mean, look at the view, look at the sea view. Okay, what do you think? But still we love what we love, or we like what we like, rather.
2, which is the food.
Woo!
Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good chicken tikka masala and fish and chips in the UK. However, one thing I will say is just, in my opinion, Canadian food is just that little bit better. Canadian food just seems to be that little bit more flavorful compared to British food, and this is something I never would have said before I actually moved to Canada. Some good foods in Canada include things like poutines, you've got Nanaimo bars, and of course you've got the classic maple syrup. But there are so many other things too. And wherever you go, I've just found the food is pretty good. Even in small town Saskatchewan, if I go to a restaurant, I'm actually pretty impressed by the food. In Saskatchewan, where I'm living, one of the really cool things, which we don't see much of in the UK, is pierogies, which I know is actually from Eastern Europe and places like Poland and Ukraine. However, since I've moved here, I've had so more pierogies, and in my view, they're just one of the best foods that I just wish we saw more of in the UK. I guess one thing.
Okay, food aspect, okay, makes total sense. But again, I just think this is his own point of view and this is his own experience. For everybody, the experience is going to be different. Their experience is going to be different based on where they live or where they stay. So I mean, I love this. I love that he is sharing his own experience from his own perspective, right? Still makes sense. I love it.
I should probably add though, is that Canadian food is typically more unhealthy than what it is in the UK. At least in my experience. Not saying that's true everywhere.
Let me take it back. Maybe it's for those who didn't catch it.
In my experience. Not saying that's true everywhere. Okay,
no, let me take it back. I'm sorry.
Fast foods that I just wish we saw more of in the UK. I guess one thing I should probably add though, is that Canadian food is typically more unhealthy than what it is in the UK. At least in my experience. Not saying that's true everywhere. Okay, so that leads me on to number 3, which is the coffee. And I think in the UK, we just happen to be tea drinkers. And that means a lot of our coffee consumption comes from instant coffee, which, don't get me wrong, it's okay, but compared to the coffee here, it just isn't great. Of course, in Canada, everybody loves Tim Hortons, which is a huge Canadian institution, but even McDonald's coffee here is so much better than what it is in the UK. And while I'm talking about some of the national chains, you also have places like Second Cup, which, believe it or not, there is one in Birmingham in the UK. But you also have so many good local specialty coffee shops. And I know you do in the UK too, but they're just so expensive. And even in Canada they are, but if you just want a cup of coffee, then in my view it's just much better in Canada. But with that said, if you ask me about tea, I will give you a very different answer. It seems wherever you are in Canada, the nature is just beautiful. And
see, that's the thing about Canada with the coffee. For me, I'm a coffee person, right? I think I just sort of have taken it's been a while I took coffee, but I only take it like on some occasions, right? My dad is a tea person, is tea and coffee, right? But okay, again, this is his experience, which makes total sense. I'm sure everybody's experience or everyone's experience is not going to be the same. I think he also kind of talked about that in the food aspect. Yeah.
And whether you're in Ontario, PEI, Newfoundland, Saskatchewan, BC, there are just some incredible things about the nature in Canada. For example, where I live, I only have to drive 30 minutes to go to a lake, which is just incredible and something I truly love. And for me personally, just being in nature is something which really helps ground me, and I find it just puts me in such a good place. And don't get me wrong, the UK does have nature, but I find we just don't appreciate it as much in the same way that Canadians do. So, and that leads me on to number 5, which is the friendliness. And let me tell you, Canadians are some of the most kindest, most caring people I've ever met. Now, that isn't to say people in the UK aren't nice at all. I know if you're in the north of England, people are typically much nicer than what they are in the southeast in London, which is where I was from. However, I know when I first moved here, I was so surprised that people were talking to me and genuinely asking me questions, which is just so different to what it was like in the UK when it comes to talking to strangers and people you don't know. One thing I really appreciated for me is one of my first times driving, I got stuck in the snow, and within 5 minutes somebody came to help me, and they actually helped me get out of that situation by getting their tractor and pulling me out of the ditch. And I was so appreciative of that, because being so new to the country, I was not expecting that. I had no real idea what to do in that situation. So knowing that people genuinely care and that people are going to help makes a huge difference. Another example is knowing your neighbours. When I lived in London, I had no idea who my neighbours were, where since I moved to Canada, actually, I know my neighbours quite well. And I think there's just a friendly atmosphere among Canadians, or at least where I am in Saskatchewan. That might be somewhat different in bigger cities like Toronto and Vancouver, and if it is, let me know in the comments down below. So there we have it. There were 5 things that I think is better in Canada compared to the UK. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give the video a thumbs up. It really does help the channel and the algorithm, and it helps get this video to more people. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Jack. Nice to meet you. And if you like the video, I would love you to hit that subscribe button. More importantly, if you have any suggestions or recommendations, or I want to know what your experiences are. So if your experiences are different to what I've said in the video, then I would love to hear them in the comments down below. So thanks so much, everyone. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye. All right. This makes sense. It makes total sense. I mean, this is his own experience, obviously, which is most likely going to be different from others' experience as well. I've heard lots of people talk about or say that Canadians are friendly, like talk about the friendliness. And I think he clarified that in the video as well. I also think that it depends on the neighborhood, where you live, the city, the province, or the town, or the city or where you live, right? I just think that, but again, this is his own experience, and it makes a lot of sense. He's sharing from his own perspective. Let me know what you think. I think the comparison makes sense from his own perspective as well, but it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. Did this actually change my mind towards the UK? Nah, it didn't. I'm sorry, it didn't. I'm just gonna be honest, it didn't. It didn't, but I still love it. I still love it. Yeah, but it didn't change my mind about the UK. I mean, don't get me wrong, Canada is also a beautiful country. Also, like the weather, the sky, the view, it's okay. But talk about the UK. I just think like maybe there are still some other areas in the UK that are quiet, that are friendly as well, that are welcoming, more accepting as well. Also dependent on where you live, people's experience and all that. But I still love this. I love that he shared his own perspective and how he perceived the area or perceived the country or the province he is in. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Obviously, others' experience might be different or might differ as well. I love your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.